And we are back. It is Testosterone Fantasy Sports. Thanks for joining us. We welcome Yestie to the set right now. Good to see you, my friend.
You know, let me first and foremost say, everybody that knows the show knows the Yestie curse. I wore this on purpose last week so the Vikings fans could revel in Adrian Peterson running wild.
Thank you.
So I'm wearing it again because my beloved Colts, fantasy-wise, are playing the Chargers. So. Yeah. Let's hope LT breaks a leg.
And we will dive deeper into the Yestie curse as we progress throughout the body of this show.
Aren't you hoping for a serious Yestie curse on himself this weekend in the Tough League? Isn't there a big matchup?
We'll get to that in a little bit. We've got some material for that.
There is a big matchup. Yestie and I do play each other this week in the Testosterone Ultimate Fantasy Football League. Yestie is, what, one game below 500 right now?
That is correct.
Oh, so he definitely needs a win. I'm in the thick of things. If the playoffs started right now, I'd catch the final spot, 4 out of 10. Jeff, of course, riding high with the AP. He gang raped another member of our league for.
I did it by myself. I had no gang.
It was just like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
No, so
a lot of stamina.
We'll be diving into those matchups a little bit later, but right now we want to just discuss our website for just a brief moment. After this show is over, you need to come online, testosteronesports.com. Tell the people at home, Jeff, what they're going to find out when they check out our fat site at TFS.
Well, immediately following this broadcast, definitely come onto our site, log in, click on the fat chat. The 3 of us will be on there. Of course, I said that last week, and then I was on there. I will be on there again. I know that
I was battling an illness, the borderline mononucleosis.
Is it called whiptitis?
It's called pussitis.
You're about to get it. You know, you just got engaged, right, bro? Congratulations for that.
So, anyways, I was a little bit under the weather.
Jesse,
so. I was doing something you haven't done in years, man. I was having sex, so I got a good excuse.
With a person.
So. Yeah.
I didn't say male or female. I just said with a person.
Right. You just got a dog, didn't you?
It was with a woman. It was with a woman. It was with my wife. But I digress. So you want to go on to the website, check it out, testosteronesports.com. There's a plethora of other things on there that you're going to find. Writings, rankings, podcasts, videocasts.
Articles. Each of these guys will both be writing an article for the site this weekend. It's been a couple weeks. So look for that. An article from Jesse and an article from Yestie. I got it on high authority that it's going to happen.
It will happen. It'll be on there. As will, if you miss any parts of the show, you'll also be able to catch that on the website as well. The video content from our show on the very best free fantasy football website in the world. Check it out, testosteronesports.com. So after the shameless plug, we go on to another one of the pretty good matchups of the week. It's the Dallas Cowboys traveling to face the Giants. The Giants, a team coming off of a bye. They've won, what, 5 games in a row now, or is it 6? They're at home playing against Dallas, a game that you're definitely going to want to watch, and a game with some major fantasy implications. Yestie, peer your knowledge. Just give us a piece. Give us a nugget. What do you think is going to happen?
I think Dallas is going to roll in this game the same way they did in the first week of the season. Romo on the road has been a little bit less spectacular than he has been at home, but I still think they're going to light up a Giants secondary that, even though the defense is playing better, they have shown a little bit of weakness on the passing game. So look for Romo to play pretty well.
I actually really like the Giants here in this game. I think coming off the bye, they were able to spend a couple extra weeks working on this specific matchup. At home, you know, Dallas pretty good against the pass, not as good against the rush. So I do like the Giants' backs to get things going in a nice, productive way here in this game. And, of course, I like Plaxico Burress. However, he's going to be faced against Terrence Newman all game. So temper your expectations. He is practicing, so that's good news. But a huge game. Both these teams playoff bound at this point in the season. And so there's positioning going on right now in this game. It's a must-win for the Giants. They need to keep pace against Dallas because Washington's still in the rearview mirror.
See, I think this game is going to be very hotly contested throughout.
And high scoring.
I don't know who's really going to come out of this game with the victory. You look at these two teams. The Cowboys are allowing 298 yards a game. The Giants allowing 296 yards a game. So these two defenses are very equally matched. The offenses both can move the ball through the air as well as on the ground. And one of the players that I love, Brandon Jacobs, I call him the Kraken. You know I've told you to release the Kraken out there. He's been running with some real real authority lately. Set his own career high 2 weeks in a row heading into the bye. Comes out with a week of rest. I think that they're going to try to run the ball a lot to keep the Cowboys offense off the field. So I don't know how effective that running game will be, but the Kraken seems like the kind of guy that if you get him 20 carries, he's getting 120 and probably a touch. So I like him here in this context.
Well, I mean, dude, we can't go through this matchup without hearing it. So what is it that they're going to do?
They're going to have to release the Kraken!
Yeah, that's right. They're going to want to release the Kraken this weekend. And you know what's funny is that every time you've done that, Jesse, with the jersey, he's sucked. So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, you said he sucked every time, and you hate on him, but what's the deal? 3 weeks in a row, 100-yard games? I mean, you got to admit he's stepping up.
Certainly is.
He's got to be looking to rebound from the game which he went out in the first place in the first week of the season. Crushed a lot of people to start off the year, so I look for him to play pretty well. Giants haven't always played too well coming off of bye weeks under Tom Coughlin, but I think this is the big rivalry game. I think they'll play pretty hard.
And Dallas's offense, they've been clicking on all cylinders. Last week, T.O. in a homecoming of sorts. That is a homecoming out there for you, Cabbage, when you go back to the place where you actually used to play. He went to Philly, roasted the Giants. Big game from T.O.
174 yards and a touchdown.
10 catches.
Woo, I don't think that we can see that type of stat line here again, but he's a must-play. He's a great receiver, and what's really nice about him this season has been he's been showing it on the field, and he's not been flapping his gums, which has kind of been a detriment to him in his career.
Oh, it's been welcomed from my perspective.
Yes.
I have him in the testosterone league, and it's every week you just start him. You don't have to worry about the Teola coaster. It hasn't been going on this season. I love what Jason Garrett has done there. I probably will pick the Cowboys for a narrow victory here, but I agree with you, Jeff. Plenty of fantasy points to go around in this matchup.
High-scoring game should be.
The next matchup to talk about, the Detroit Lions surprising everyone out there with a 6-2 record, traveling to Arizona to play the Cardinals. These two teams are two teams that I predicted in our preseason show would both make the playoffs. I said the Lions were going to win this division in the preseason. People laughed at me. They scoffed. Now the Lions starting to get their legs up under them. Kevin Jones back and healthy in the lineup and running with some authority. I like the Lions in this matchup. I think that it's going to be a good game, but these two teams are coming out of nowhere to a lot of people. I saw it coming.
You also said St. Louis was going to win their division. So
quiet.
And Arizona sucks, dude.
Arizona's 3-5. They played pretty well. What I'm looking for is to see if Detroit can keep playing well on the road. They've played great at home. When they've gone to places like Washington that have had a physical defense on the road, they've struggled. Arizona has a physical defense themselves, so if they can pull something off and get some points on the board, they definitely have a chance to win because their defense has actually been on fire lately.
Well, my take on the Detroit Lions is everybody in the league is scheming for their seemingly prolific passing defense or passing offense. They haven't been productive. John Kitten has been killing you if he's been your starting quarterback. Roy Williams not helping anybody right now. It's their ground game. It's totally unlike Mike Martz to run the ball this much, yet it's working for them. They're winning by playing tough defense, running the ball very well. They're going to continue with that formula. I think they come away with the victory too, but it's going to be a low-scoring game in my opinion.
What do you think about Arizona's offense here, Yestie? The Lions are a defense that has prided themselves with some big plays. We saw them score 2 defensive touchdowns last weekend, but they definitely can bend in the yardage category. Do you see some opportunity here for some of the Cardinals players?
I think if they're gonna put some yards and some points on the board, it's going to be through the air against that Detroit secondary. Sean Rogers and the rest of the defensive line have really stepped up. Edgerrin probably not going to play too well. He'll maybe get a short touchdown. I've got him slated in my starting lineup against you that we'll touch on here in a little bit.
It's the curse.
So as of right now, he's in my starting lineup. But the defensive line has played very well. I think there's a lot of opportunity through the air, though.
What's the deal with Larry Fitz so far this season, Jeff? He's kind of been incognito. I know you're a big Larry Fitz supporter. What's he going to do here in this game?
Well, one thing that's interesting about Larry Fitzgerald, although he hasn't been doing very much, he's got really nice yards in the last few weeks, but only 1 touchdown. So, in my opinion, that continues. They like to get the ball to Anquan Bolden. Larry Fitzgerald's still kind of developing, and, their offense just not that good. It's prototypical, in my mind, of a brand-new coaching regime taking its time to get used to the players learning a new offensive system, and it's just not there for them right now. But give Ken Weisenhunt and Russ Grimm time, and in the next couple seasons, I think their team could be in the playoffs. It's just going to take a year.
Okay, we're going to move to the AFC North right now for a collision between two teams that Yestie's getting his hopes up, but it's really Cincinnati against Baltimore that we're going to talk about.
I thought we were doing Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Talk about right here. Right. Cincinnati, a team that has really fallen apart. I believe all three of us predicted Cleveland or Cincinnati to go to the playoffs, and they've got one win at this point right now in the season, and
Two wins.
Two wins?
2 wins.
Here they travel to play Baltimore, a team that looked absolutely pathetic on offense last week. Can you think of a worse offensive team in the league than the Ravens?
Miami, maybe? Maybe. I don't know. But they're both pretty bad right now. So if there's a defense you want to get healthy against, it's going to be Cincinnati. They give up yards through the ground and yards through the air. So whether it's, the aging guy, McNair, or the turnover-prone bowler, maybe some of them, some kind of magic can happen. Willis McGahee should play pretty well, and Todd Heap, until he jogs out on the field, at least they say his hamstring's healthy so far.
Well, as bad as it's been for the passing offense for the Ravens, one big bright spot, especially in point per reception leagues, has been Derek Mason, tied for the league still in receptions at 62 with TJ Houshmandzadeh. Both these guys, I think Housh is the better receiver, obviously. Derek Mason, pretty old. He's the only guy, in my opinion, who you play, I guess aside from Willis McGahee, but McGahee dealing with an injury and their team going the wrong direction. It's time to pick up Musa Smith. If you've got McGahee, you need your handcuff.
Cincinnati also dealing with some injury grizzle last week. Their supposed leader, Chad Johnson, having to be carted off the field. What are you hearing, Jeff? Is Chad Johnson going to play in this matchup?
Well, it's tough to say. I think he's still a little bit more concerned with the bling in his mouth than he is the production on the field. And one thing that I will say is good for this team is that the Baltimore secondary is riddled with injuries right now, and so it's going to loosen things up. And eventually, Carson Palmer is going to have to step up and lead this team on the field if they're going to win. So one nice thing for them is they welcome back Chris Henry, the enigmatic wide receiver for them dealing with the suspension. He's finally back for their team. They need him in a major way because the 3 wide receiver set is something that they used and used well last season.
I'd avoid the running backs in this game. We really don't know what's going on with Rudy Johnson and his injury situation. Baltimore, they cannot stop the pass as we saw last week against Pittsburgh, but they can stop the run still. So keep your Cincinnati Bengals running backs on the bench. The final matchup of this segment, Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Washington to play against the Redskins. What do you think is going to happen here, Yestie?
For Washington, it's Clinton Portis. I mean, that's all they've got to lean on at this point. Jason Campbell is still looking like a run-first quarterback. He's not finding the open receivers. But Clinton Portis has played very well all year. 36 carries, 196 yards, I believe, last week. Big game. If it wasn't for AP, we'd be talking about Clinton Portis a lot more this week. Chris Cooley hopefully gets back into the mix because he's a guy that's either getting one or 2 points or 8 or 9 points a game. Hopefully he's on the 8 or 9 points.
It's another big divisional matchup here in this game, and that's the thing. As you look across the schedule this week, every game is a divisional matchup. So kudos to the NFL schedule makers for that. This is a big game that has playoff implications on it. Philadelphia really clinging to their playoff lives at this point. If it wasn't for the game against us that they won and should not have, they would be dead in the water. I really think that Washington, under the great leadership of their coach,
Joe Gibbs
has done a really nice job, and they're looking like a team who's making some waves in the NFC. I think that they need to get their passing game going, but to me, Jason Campbell not quite good enough to take them to the promised land yet. It's Portis and their running game. Whoever has Adrian and Clint Portis in a league are geniuses, dude. You know anybody like that, Jesse?
I certainly do know someone like that, Jeff.
Right,
let's take a little brief minute.
Just a quick second.
To give the people at home an update. Jeff and I play in a league called the Insanity League.
And we're on top of Anna Kournikova, baby.
Exactly. The Anna Kournikova division is the division that we reside in.
And Jenny Finch is going down.
This is a league where we play against a lot of the experts over at a place called Fanball. Don't know if you've heard of it or not. They think they're kind of a big deal, but right now we're taking it to the guys at Fanball. Jeff and I were invited into this league because we are excellent fantasy minds. They let us leave the draft, Jeff, with Adrian Peterson on our roster.
We brought more cowbell, man.
More cowbell. And we've been bringing more cowbell all season. We're going to bring more cowbell right after this. We will be back week number 10. Ding, ding, baby. Testosterone fantasy sports in the house.
Crack, crack, boom.
What the hell was that?